Whatever you do, make sure you visit ashkicking.com for your home fragrance, health, and beauty needs. Quality products at a great price.
Hi, you're watching DONTAE'S Boxing Nation. Woo!
Hello.
Hey, Abel, what's going on, man?
Good morning, man.
All right. First things first, just want to say congratulations. A win is a win at the end of the day. DONTAE'S Boxing Nation, I'm over here with trainer extraordinaire, my man Abel Sanchez. Okay, so Abel, let's get right into it, man. Now, when Golovkin fought Kell Brook, you were pretty tough. Both you and Golovkin were pretty tough on your performance. I think you gave him like a 4 out of 10 or something like that. How would you rate his performance over Danny Jacobs?
You know, Dante, for me to do that with Danny would be belittling what he did. Danny fought a great fight, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So if he fought a great fight and he still lost, I think that for me to grade Gennady would be just putting Danny down. I would rather say that I think that Andre Rozier did a magnificent job getting him ready, and Daniel Jacobs did exactly what he was asked of him, and maybe Virgil's counseling did him some good, because when he got knocked down, he got up and with more reserve and more he wanted to go. So I think that I would rather compliment that side of it than trying to grade Gennady, because if I grade Gennady, that means they would have to grade Daniel lower because he lost. So I'd rather keep it that way.
Oh, okay. Now, I mean, you kind of alluded to my next question, but I want to ask you specifically, what were you most impressed with when it came to Danny Jacobs? What surprised you the most about him?
I said it before the fight. I thought, and I said it at the first press conference, that I was impressed by the man that he is, his character, having battled what he's battled, and have the kind of attitude that he's got. He's not bitter. He doesn't have that why me attitude that a lot of the young men would have in his situation. So I was impressed just by the man he is. I knew he was a good fighter. I knew that he was going to come to fight, but most impressed really by the reserve that he had, the gut check that he did in that fight, and that he followed instructions and he did what they asked of him, and that man's going to be champion. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to be a dominant champion, because he's a very good fighter. I said it at the beginning that when Pirog knocked him down, you know what the sense that I got was when he went down, he's laying there, he closed his eyes, not because he was hurt, in my opinion, not because he was out of it, because he's probably saying to himself with his eyes closed, damn it, I got caught. Mm-hmm. And then as he starts to get up around 5 or 6, the referee's keeping him down, and he's saying to the referee, I'm okay. Yeah, so yeah. I knew that we're going to have a fight on our hands, and the fact that he did the necessary to go out to Oakland and get away from the normal, and went out to Oakland and got himself prepared not only mentally but physically, is a credit to him. But again, I think that what most impressed me was the man that he is, the character.
Mm-hmm. Now, Abel, when I went to the Mayweather gym to get everyone's reaction, they were like split right down the middle. Half of them said Golovkin won, half of them said Danny Jacobs won. With a fight that close, you don't think that kind of fight deserves a rematch?
Well, let me say this. Regardless of what you say, what I say, what the Mayweather gym says, this decision was rendered on Saturday, and it's not going to be changed. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be changed. This decision is final. Whether we win, just like the Ward-Kovalev fight, the decision is final. Regardless of what anybody thinks, what I think, what you think, the decision was rendered on that night, and no matter what all the rhetoric and all the belly aching and all the pluses or minuses or the guys that are for it or against it say, it's still the decision. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as the rematch, there was no rematch clause, I think, by their choice, but I think that we made it perfectly clear what Golovkin's goal was. Well, Golovkin's goal was in the middleweight division. Now, once he, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. So hopefully, the business of boxing does what it should do in the fight that everybody's expecting, the fight that everybody is talking about happens in September. If it doesn't, then that's okay too. But Golovkin's goal was to get the 4 belts. Right now they're in negotiations with Saunders. hopefully they come to terms and that fight happens. And if he gets the fourth belt, then there's other options. But if Golovkin moves on, if he gets that belt and moves on, and we're successful in June, and moves on to the other part of his career, which will be moving up in weight, then Danny's gonna be the player. Danny's gonna be the one in that division. I don't care about Lemieux. I don't care about anybody else. Danny's gonna be the man in that division when Golovkin moves on.
So you think he'll be number one once Golovkin
Absolutely.
moves on? Okay.
Absolutely.
Would you pick him over Jermall Charlo, Danny Jacobs?
I have to see Jermall fight a middleweight, a good middleweight, before I would say Jermall belongs at that level. But Jermall's going to have to be a heck of a lot better than I've seen him fight. And the Julian Williams fight was a good fight, but Julian Williams is no Daniel Jacobs.
Mm-hmm. Now, after this fight, the first thing I said is because, people are so used to, Golovkin looking indestructible, knocking everyone out. He goes 12 rounds for the first time, and it's a very, very close fight. I said now he's going to be the most wanted fighter in boxing today. Do you feel that is going to make more people come out and want to fight him now because he looked a little bit more, mortal in this fight, or what?
No, I hope you're right. I hope you're right, but just like this fight with Daniel, the fortunate thing and unfortunate thing with this fight, prior to the fight itself, was the fact that Daniel was a mandatory. So the fight had to be fought or lose the belt. So it came to a point where there was so much money involved on Daniel's side that's not going to happen again, because we're done with that. We're finished with the mandatory. So the guys that are clamoring for or wanting to fight Golovkin now are going to price themselves out, just like Eubanks did. Mm-hmm. They're going to get to a point where there's not, that money is not available. Okay, when the pay-per-view numbers come out, I know that there's some rhetoric about what people think it is, but when they actually come out, and you overpay somebody, and the numbers just don't come out, it doesn't make business sense. It doesn't make business sense to take fights where guys are being so overpaid that the Golovkin makes no money or makes less money than they're making, which is crazy. Why? Because people are demanding it? That's not business right. I mean, you wouldn't do that if you were a manager. So hopefully you're right. Hopefully those people come out and they want to fight him. Hopefully they don't overprice themselves, because if this is the kind of fight that we're going to get from Golovkin at 68, because they're going to be bigger men, then you know what, we're going to be thrilled. We're going to be, as fight fans, me as a fight fan, I'm going to be thrilled to see a fight where guys go back and forth, like the fight before Golovkin and Jacobs, the Chocolatito fight. You know, that's what we pay whatever it was, $54 or $59 for the pay-per-view, to be able to see those kind of fights. We don't want to see a dance.
Yeah. Hey, why do you think Oscar what does Oscar De La Hoya mean when he says, if you guys decide to fight Billy Joe Saunders, then that's more of a chance that you guys won't get the Canelo fight? What does he mean by that?
You know, you have to ask him that. But to me, that's really acting like this is my basketball, and if you don't play it with my rules, I'm gonna go home. And you guys can't play. You know, Gennady Golovkin's career is not going to be dictated by Oscar De La Hoya or anybody else. When Tom and they are negotiating, if they don't come to the terms that Golovkin wants, listen, we got other options, we got other avenues. We're not going to sit around and wait for Canelo to be ready or Oscar to be ready. So if Tom doesn't get the fair, what Golovkin feels is fair for him, then we go on to fight Saunders and move up to 168. Once he has those 4 belts, then he's done what he wanted to do, what his dream was, to be like the great Bernard Hopkins, be the next undisputed middleweight champion. So if he does that in June, and in September or October he happens to fight at 168, there's other guys that are wanting to fight him at 68. So we'll go on with his career. It's not a matter of waiting for Canelo, but it'll be because Canelo and Oscar didn't want to put Canelo in the ring with Golovkin, not because Golovkin didn't want to fight.
Yeah, because I don't know. It just seems to me, Abel, that Canelo would be more, interested in facing Golovkin after, once again, at least seeing Golovkin go 12 rounds for the first time. But yeah, it's surprising me what Oscar is saying right now.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right, because as fight fans, we've been we've been talking about this fight for two years since he beat Cotto, because he was supposed to fight and then he gave up the belt. You know, we've been talking about this fight forever. He was the mandatory for Martinez. He was the mandatory for Cotto. We stepped aside. He was the mandatory for Canelo, and Canelo gave the belt back. So it's been because of their choosing, not because we weren't ready. But we're not going to sit around and wait for them to make up their mind either. I think one of the mentions was that if he fought in June, there wouldn't be enough time to promote the fight between June and September. Hell, we've been talking about this fight for 2 years. It's been promoted for 2 years.
But they're fighting in May, though. So, I mean, that's only a month, a month away from June. So
I know. It's an excuse. There's a lot of, I think I mentioned to you before when we were negotiating Eubanks, there's a lot of ways to turn down a fight without saying, no, I don't want the fight. There's a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And that's just another way. But the pressure needs to be put on from you guys and from the fight fans. And in his next fight that he fights Chavez, that it doesn't do well because of what the fans think of him. You know, so I think that the pressure has to come from your end, because there's nothing we can do. We're ready to fight if he's ready to come to the table and be fair. We recognize he's the A fighter. Mm-hmm. We recognize that. But there is a way to insult somebody by offering something that's below what they should be getting.
And you just said it right now. He's the A side. So, you know, a lot of fans, I get the comments all the time. They say, well, they're kind of split. They say if Golovkin or if Canelo is offering you guys $15 million, even though we know they're going to get a whole lot more than $15 million. The question is it better to turn down that $15 million, go up to 168 and probably, you know, only get a couple million, or just take that $15 million and take the smaller slice of the pie?
The question is, you or I or anybody else doesn't have the right to tell Gennady what he should earn.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm just asking what he would like to do.
Well, for me to say that to Gennady, or for Tom to say that to Gennady, or for anybody to say that to Gennady, is that what gives you the right to tell me what I want to earn or what I want to turn down? Mm-hmm. It's what Gennady feels that is right for him, that he should take. If he doesn't feel it's right for him, then you know what? Go fly a kite. Canelo's only going to make the kind of money he's going to make if he fights Golovkin or Mayweather again, but that won't get bought again. Or who else?
That's true. That is true.
Okay, so the money is with Golovkin right now for Canelo to make that kind of money. When he makes a stupid comment is, well, you've never made that kind of money. That's true, but you're not going to make that kind of money either without Golovkin.
Yeah, that is true. I talked about that. They kind of need each other in this situation.
Yeah,
and he really,
absolutely. And boxing needs it.
Yeah, and he's going to have. I think he's going to have a harder time going up against the other middleweights too. You know, so. Oh,
okay. Is he going to make that kind of money fighting Jacobs?
No, not against Charlo.
Or Charlo, and those guys. That's the reason he didn't fight those guys at junior middleweight. He didn't fight the Charlos, and he didn't fight Julian, and he fought Trout and Lara, and they gave him a hard time. So now moving up to middleweight, Charlo moved up. Now he's a bigger guy. So it's Canelo, though, but Charlo's got the skills. So if he can't get past Charlo and is not going to make that kind of money, the same question could be asked: why doesn't he take what Golovkin is offering, or what Golovkin wants, the kind of deal Golovkin makes? Because he may lose against those other guys. Now, if he fights Lemieux, what kind of fight is that? And what kind of money can he make? Lemieux's not going to make that kind of money for Canelo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's a dangerous fight. I mean, one punch. You know, it doesn't have to be. He could be getting beat the whole fight and lands one punch, and who knows? Yeah.
I agree.
So it's a risk all the way around, but the risk has got to be where everybody's compensated in the way they want to. Just like with Danny, everybody bitched about the 54 or 59.95, but they didn't bitch about him asking for more money.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, they did give him a hard time when he was trying to offer that $15 million a flat rate. A lot of people were jumping on that.
No, I'm talking about fans. I'm talking about fans. Fans are talking about, oh, Danny needs to get paid. Danny needs to get paid. Danny needs to get paid.
Oh, you're talking
How
about
much did you read that?
Yeah.
How much did you read that? You read that a lot, right?
Yeah.
That Golovkin's got to give him 40%. Golovkin's got to give him 40%. Why? Danny's got to get paid. And then when it came to 59.95, nobody wanted to buy it. It was too much money. So how do we pay for this?
Yeah. No, I hear you on that one. I hear you on that one. But
So I hope the fight gets made. I hope that Tom and Eric and Oscar can make some kind of deal so the fight gets made. Just because I honestly think that and I've said this before, that's the kind of fight that can happen 2 and 3 times.
Yeah,
and if they can go at each other 2 or 3 times and people buy it and people want it, and how they're going to show they want it is if they buy it. Mm-hmm. Now, you asked me about a rematch with Danny. You asked me about the rematch with Danny.
Uh-huh.
If the numbers come down low, that means people didn't want it. So if the numbers come down low and Danny wants the more money than he got this time, how are we going to pay for that?
Well, but Abel, you don't think? I mean, me personally, I think the drama, the suspense, the controversy of the first fight would make the rematch bigger. Like
there's no controversy.
Well,
controversy.
Well, I mean, like even with Andre Ward versus Kovalev, they call it a little bit of a controversy because some people said that they thought Kovalev won the fight, so they call it a controversy. So I'm just saying because it was
Andre Ward was on his feet.
You said he was what?
In the fight. He was on his ass in the fight.
Yeah,
he was knocked down. Okay, Golovkin wasn't knocked down or hurt. Andre Ward was hurt in the first round with a jab.
Yeah, but I mean, we still looking overall. We still looking overall at the scorecards, though. I mean, that's just one round, though. I mean, it was still close, though. All I'm saying is, like when Mayweather fought against Maidana, the first fight it didn't do, the best numbers. And then people said they didn't want to see the rematch. The rematch did better than the first fight. So I mean, I'm pretty much sure, Abel, that a rematch with Danny would do better numbers. I don't know if it would be fantastic.
You know
numbers,
what?
But
you could be right. I mean, I'm not going to say that you're wrong, but I think that the plan has been laid out for Golovkin way ahead of this fight.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason, and it's not like I'm bringing something up that's not true. It's been laid out for a long, long time. You and I have talked about it. And the business of boxing has been asking for a particular fight in September. If that doesn't get made, and Golovkin is able to garnish or to gain the next belt, then at that point decisions have to be made by Golovkin and the team. Mm-hmm. Whether he stays at 160. Now, the other reason he may stay at 160 is that we're getting close to Bernard's defense
record
number.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows what's going to happen next? But the next couple fights have already been talked about and already been discussed. So to answer your question, the Jacobs thing would have to come up after that.
Yeah, that makes sense there.
Yeah, but I would love to see that fight again. I think that Daniel deserves to be champion, and he's going to be. Whether it's because of Golovkin, him beating Golovkin, or Golovkin moving on and him beating somebody else, but he's going to be champion.
Abel, speaking of Bernard Hopkins, I kind of think it's kind of reminiscent to me of when Tito Trinidad, he moved up from 154 to 160 to challenge Bernard Hopkins. I'm kind of thinking of that. I know it's a little premature, but I'm kind of thinking that way when it comes to Jermall Charlo. He's moving up to 154 to 160, and he seems, like you said, we still have to see how he looks at middleweight, but he seems like he would be one of Golovkin's toughest challenges at 160 compared to the other opponents he's faced.
I think Danny Jacobs beats Jermall Charlo.
Wow,
that's just my opinion.
My friend Milton was funny. My friend Milton just said that the other day when we did our show. That's funny.
Yeah, I think Daniel Jacobs is. I think that if nobody believed it, and if he had a doubt, he has no doubt now that he is going to be champion again, and he's one of the better middleweights, or one of the best middleweights, the best middleweight we've faced, but one of the better middleweights for a long, long time.
Okay, so for the record, Golovkin versus Charlo in the future, that's out of the question.
No, it's not out of the question, but again, if you're asking me about the Jacobs fight, okay, and we've talked, you and I have talked, and if you listen to any of the interviews that I've done, he wants the 4 belts. Mm-hmm. He gets the 4 belts, and that redhead fight happens in September. That's 20 right there, correct?
Yeah.
That's 20. So now, if he decides to stay, if you're asking me about the Jacobs fight, Jacobs would naturally be the next guy, right? So if he happens to beat Jacobs again, that's 21. There's no reason to stay at middleweight no more.
Mm-hmm.
He's done what he needed to do. There's no reason.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what we always wanted anyway. I mean, a lot of fans wanted to see Golovkin move up to 168.
Right.
You know,
but he will accomplish the two things that I think you have to be a fighter in that position to understand the importance of that for you inside, not for anybody else, but for you inside, to be able to be talked in the same breath as Hopkins in the defenses, and to be able to be the next undisputed middleweight champion. I mean, and once he accomplishes that, fighting Charlo means nothing.
Mm.
But you asked me about Jacobs. That's why I put Jacobs in there after Canelo. That would be the 21st.
Mm-hmm. And just to touch on Jacobs one more time, was there anything that you felt you wanted to work on Golovkin with after that performance? Was there something you were looking at? Maybe you went back, watched the tape, and you say, you know what, I want to work on this.
I never watched the tapes again.
Oh, you
I
don't?
never watched the fight again. Never.
Okay.
Because unless it's a rematch. Unless it's a rematch, I'll go back and watch the tape. But the next guy is not going to be Daniel Jacobs. The next guy is going to be somebody different. So now I need to prepare for the guy that's going to be different. For me to watch a Jacobs tape, if I don't have to face him again, is a waste of time, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have to prepare for whomever it is that Tom is going to put in front of us next.
Uh-huh. What?
Now, if it happens after the Canelo fight, you better believe it, I'm going to be watching that fight.
Yeah. What did Golovkin, since the fight, what has Golovkin said, even in between rounds or even after the fight, what has Golovkin said to you personally about Danny Jacobs? Did he ever talk about his power? Did he ever say he kind of hurt me a little bit, but I got over it? Anything like that?
Never, nothing, never.
Okay.
All he said was, good fight, we got to win. Let's go to Disneyland. No, he didn't say that. But really nothing. He really never has anything to say after the fight other than that was a good fighter, I like Danny. If you listen to the press conference after the fight, that's all he could do was compliment Daniel on not only in his preparation, but the kind of man he is, and that he's going to be champion soon.
Yeah, he said he was his favorite fighter. I thought that was a pretty cool thing to say.
You know, and it's about not inside the ring. It's about the man outside the ring. But we said it from the beginning. You know, gosh, he's gone through hell. I mean, the man was dead 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't he? Wasn't he in a deathbed?
Very close to being dead officially.
Yeah. So for him to have competed like he did on Saturday night, and to put himself in that position to get to Saturday night and to do what he did Saturday night and to fight the fight of his life and to be in a position where within this year or the first quarter of next year, if Golovkin vacates, he's going to be fighting for another world title and he's going to win it and he's going to be the dominant middleweight. I mean, that's an accomplishment. That's character. That's inside. That's nothing with his mouth. That's inside.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know this is a conflict of interest type question, but I'm gonna ask anyway. Where would you rate Golovkin as pound for pound the best fighter in the world right now? I
still think he's the top fighter in the world right now.
You would say he was number one? He is?
I still say he's number one.
Okay, fair enough.
And I would say Andre's number two and Lomachenko's number three.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can agree with those in there. So speaking of, just real quick, I know we touched on it, but since Sergey Kovalev just signed a contract, according to him, you still you're leaning towards Andre Ward in the rematch in that fight, right?
I think that Andre is going to be able to make the adjustments necessary that he didn't do as well in the first fight at the beginning. I think that now this is the 13th round, and I think he'll make the adjustments. I honestly don't think that fight's going to happen between you and I and everybody that's listening. I don't think that although I'm kind of not upset, but kind of disappointed because that fight was agreed to when they signed the first fight. All the terms were agreed to before they signed the first fight, or else that fight probably would not have happened. So to go back and to not be honorable and not be a man of your word, I find that disappointing.
Yeah, well, but Rock Nation did just send the contracts out to Sergey Kovalev, and and he signed it, at least according to Sergey Kovalev.
Yeah, but I can bet you dollars to donuts. I'm not there and you're not there. I bet you dollars to donuts. It ain't what they agreed to before the first fight.
So you're just saying you don't believe you're saying you don't believe that any contracts have been signed, or you just don't believe that Ward will sign the contract?
I don't believe Ward's going to sign the contract. No.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I mean, I talked to Virgil Hunter. He was kind of fired up about the rematch, but who knows?
Yeah.
You're right.
Well,
I mean, we don't know until they sign, so you're right. We don't really know until they sign the contracts.
Let me say this. I think that if he does sign the contract, I think that Andre has got a better brain trust, and I think that Virgil will adjust. Andre will adjust better than Sergey will.
Yeah, I can kind of see that right there. Let me ask you. Let me ask you one more off the subject, Abel. Errol Spence and Kell Brook, they just had a really fiery press conference out in the UK. Break that fight down for me, Abel.
Okay. I've said to you in the past that I thought Errol Spence in 4 or 5 fights would be one of the best welterweights in the world. I've said that to you, right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, he's one of my favorite prospects. I think that this fight is too soon for him.
Oh, interesting. And he's fighting in his backyard too, right?
Yeah, I think this fight is too soon for him. I think that Errol Spence is a Terry Norris kind of fight. Kind of fighter. Terry Norris fought Julian Jackson too soon.
Yeah.
He's only 22. He's only 22 years old. He's in the Hall of Fame now.
One of your best champions you trained, by the way.
Yeah, but Errol Spence, I think, is a little too early for him. He's going to be that great a fighter, and he's going to be a great fighter because he's got a lot of athleticism, speed. He's got a little power. He doesn't have real crunching power, but he's got power. But I think that is too early.
Wow.
And he's fighting an old veteran. And he's fighting a veteran that has been through some very, very tough fights and knows what it's like to be in a tough fight. Errol hasn't been in a 12-round tough fight.
Interesting. So you're going to slightly lean towards Kell Brook in this one then?
Yes. I don't think it's a 50-50. I think it's a 52-48. Let me just put it that way. Errol still has a chance, but I think that if they would have waited, unfortunately in this business, it's such a business that when they give you an opportunity like Errol got, he's not going to turn it down. It's crazy for him to turn it down. But I would have liked for him to have waited a couple, 2 or 3 more fights. A couple, 2 or 3 more training camps at the level that he's training right now would have been fantastic for him.
Interesting breakdown, man. What else you got lined up? Who else some of your fighters?
Well, I got Garcia in the gym. He hopefully is fighting in late May or maybe late June. I got Shafikov supposed to be fighting Easter sometime in May or June also. Alex Salcedo, who just fought on the 17th, the night before at the theater, got a 3rd-round knockout. He'll be fighting in Boston in the middle of May. I've got Sergey Bogachuk, who's a young man that fought on the undercard of Golovkin, will be fighting again on the 6th. Ruslan Madiev is a little lightweight that I got that's 8-0. Will be fighting on the 6th of April also down here in Southern California. And Konstantin Ponomarev will be fighting in June. He's the top rank. He's 31-0 or 32-0. He's one of the guys up there in the welterweights in the Spence, right below Spence, that will be getting a shot hopefully within 3 or 4 more fights.
Nice. So you don't know who Konstantin is fighting right now?
No, they haven't told us, but they're trying to pencil him in, like I said, for June. So we went to New York and had 4 fights. We had Alex Salcedo got a 3rd-round knockout. Sergey Bogachuk got a 3rd-round knockout or 2nd-round knockout. Ryan Martin, who fought on the undercard, and my assistant worked his corner because I couldn't. Got a 7 or 8-round knockout.
I didn't know you were working with Ryan Martin. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's my camp. Yeah, he's in my camp.
Nice. Yeah.
Great kid.
Yeah, man, got the height and everything, and fights on the inside, outside. Real good-looking prospect you got over there, man. Oh, one more, since I forgot about the Roman Gonzalez fight. What did you think about that decision?
You know, we didn't get a chance to see it, or we had it on the TV and the monitor inside our dressing room, but I really didn't get to pay attention. Okay. There's people saying that he won. There's people saying that he lost. But I think that the thing I have said it in the past, you have to take into consideration is that Roman was a 105-pound champion, a little guy, 108-pound champion, a little guy, 112, and they started getting a little bigger for him. 115, they're huge. They're coming down from 125, 126 pounds to fight Roman Gonzalez, a strawweight fighter, a 105-pound fighter. So you knew that eventually there's going to be a guy that was going to be able to take Roman's power and boxing skills and be able to fire back. And whether Roman won or lost, I mean, the decision's been rendered, like I said, by Golovkin. Now, hopefully, there's a rematch if they want to do a rematch and they do it again. I think they're talking about a rematch immediately. So
yeah, and you're right, Abel. That's what I talk about all the time, especially when it comes to a lot of fighters who have power. When they're in them smaller weight classes, they can kind of rely on their power a little mixed with skill. But when they move up in weight, they have to rely more on skill than power, right?
Yeah, in the Cuadras fight, the fight before that, that was the issue right there. The Cuadras boxed him real well and was able to watch out him from the outside, even though he won the fight. His face looked like he got run over by a train because they're bigger guys. Yeah. And this is a little guy, you know?
Yeah, exactly, man. Hey, man, well, I really, really appreciate your time, man. Anything else you got on your mind before I let you go, Abe?
No, just thank you very much for having me on, and hopefully the fights that we want to happen for this great sport happen. I think that that fight that we talked about, the redhead and Golovkin, is the fight that we are all looking for as far as boxing fans, and I think we're going to be treated to a great fight if it does happen. But if it don't, just continue to support us, and we'll try to continue to put on great fights like we did in New York, and look out for Danny, because he's going to be a champion real soon.
Absolutely. And just for the record, I'm sorry, because this was the main thing I called you for, so I need to get it. So just for the record, if no Canelo, straight to 168, right?
Probably. I would think so, yes. I think that there's been interest in Top Rank's site, or Alberto Ramirez isn't talking about wanting to fight Golovkin. So if Canelo doesn't happen, and I'm sure that there's no reason to stick around. You know, that's the fight that he wants, and if it doesn't happen, then we go on to another big name fight, which would be Alberto Ramirez at 168, I think.
That would be fun. All those fights at 168 are going to be real fun. So I look
forward
to that,
what?
Man.
Just like this one, those guys are going to be more durable. Those guys are going to be bigger and stronger. So we're going to get hopefully the kind of fight that we just saw on Saturday night. Exciting, toe-to-toe, hopefully kind of fight where guys are hurting each other, but they're not able to put each other down because they're big dudes.
Absolutely. All right, brother. Thanks for your time, Abel Sanchez.
All right, Dante.
I'll catch
you
up
have a
with
great day, man.
You too, man.
All
Thanks,
right.
man. All right,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye-bye.